A warm welcome to Honorable Chief Minister of Jharkhand, Shri Hemant Soren. I will request Program Chair Shri Sinha, Principal Secretary Department of IT, Government of Jharkhand, to felicitate Honorable Chief Minister. Now I will request to all other dignitaries, I request Program Chair to felicitate all other dignitaries with the bouquet. Now I will request Honorable Chief Minister and other dignitaries to please light up the lamp and do a formal inauguration of eJharkhand event. It's a pleasure for us to have Honorable Chief Minister under whose leadership every new state, a young state like Jharkhand, is reaching to the new heights, especially in terms of IT and e-governance. After the lighting up lamp ceremony, we will be requesting the Chief Minister to launch the special issue of eGov magazine, which is a special issue on Jharkhand, covering all the e-governance and IT initiatives taking place in Jharkhand. Now I will request Honorable Chief Minister to please launch the Jharkhand special issue of eGov magazine. eGov magazine, this issue has covered all the major e-governance and IT initiatives by various departments, PSUs and companies in the state. eGov magazine is Asia's premium monthly magazine on e-governance. It provides a much needed platform to the voices of various stakeholders in the arena of e-governance. And this special issue of eGov magazine is covering all the major e-governance initiatives of major departments, PSUs and companies in the Jharkhand. Also the banks. Thank you very much, sir. After this launch of magazine, I would request Honorable Chief Minister Shri Hemant Soren to please grace us with a few words.
Respected Chief Minister Jharkhand, Mr. Hemant Soren, Mr. Sharma, the popular and eminent Chief Secretary and distinguished dignitaries in the dais, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to take just only 1 minute to extend a very hearty welcome to the Honorable Chief Minister. We are very happy, sir, that notwithstanding, I mean, when I say you are busy schedule, it is a busy schedule. You are going for your assembly, you are going for your budget. In spite of it that you have come, along with the Chief Secretary, it means your commitment to the subject of IT, and we hope that a lot of things in the next 2 days will come to know about what you have done, and without standing on formalities, extending once again a hearty welcome to you. I would now request the Honorable Chief Minister to say a few words.
Before that, I will request Program Chair Shri Hemant Sinha to give a welcome address and introduce about the eJharkhand event. Please, sir.
माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी, मुख्य सचिव जी, इस डायस में उपस्थित सीएमडी रेलटेल श्री आर बहुगुणा, डीजी STPI डॉक्टर ओमकार राय, प्रेसिडेंट इलेट्स मीडिया डॉक्टर MP नारायणन, CMD CCL श्री गोपाल सिंह जी, इस सभागार में उपस्थित ऑनरेबल गेस्ट, स्टीम गेस्ट, हमारे IT विभाग और सरकार के स्टीम कलीग्स, IT सेक्टर से जुड़े विभिन्न एक्सपर्ट्स, मीडिया बंधु, देवियों सज्जनों, जैसा कि मिस्टर नारायणन ने बताया, माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी का आज विधानसभा में कार्यक्रम है, बजट का दिन है, इसके बावजूद अपनी व्यवस्थाओं से के बावजूद आज आए हैं। यह उनकी कमिटमेंट को दर्शाता है। सर, हम आपको इस प्रोग्राम में वेलकम करते हैं। आपके आशीर्वचनों से हमें IT के सेक्टर में हम कैसे आगे बढ़ें, इसमें हमें बहुत ही मार्गदर्शन मिलेगा और आप इससे आपके इन वचनों से हम आगे बढ़ पाने में समर्थ हों। हमारे इस सभागार में आज काफी विशिष्ट जन उपस्थित हैं और ये IT के क्षेत्र में जो हमारी उपलब्धियां रही उन पे सेलिब्रेट करने का वक्त ये है और कैसे और आगे बढ़े, कैसे जन जन तक IT को ले जाएं, जो हमारे CM साहब की आकांक्षा है, उनकी अभिलाषा है, इसको पूरा करने में हमें मदद मिलेगी। आज का जो ई गवर्नेंस झारखंड इवेंट है, वो इन सभी स्ट्रैंड्स को, सभी धाराओं को एक साथ लाता है और इन धाराओं पे हम आज अलग अलग सत्रों में चर्चा करेंगे। एक जैसे आधार पर है, झारखंड में ई गवर्नेंस की बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस क्या है, नेक्स्ट ई गवर्नेंस की बेस्ट और नेक्स्ट प्रैक्टिसेस क्या है, सिक्योरिटी के क्षेत्र में आगे IT का उपयोग करके क्या किया जा सकता है, लैंड रिकॉर्ड्स, सर्वे, रजिस्ट्रेशन, इन क्षेत्रों में क्या हो रहा है, क्या हो सकता है, इन सभी धाराओं का, सभी विचार विमर्शों का उद्देश्य ये है कि हम ये जानें कि IT के क्षेत्र में और क्या क्या संभावनाएं हैं, हमने क्या किया है, इसमें हमें और क्या करने का अवसर मिल सकता है, इन सब पे चर्चा करें। मुझे विश्वास है कि आज की चर्चा में जो हमारे विभिन्न क्षेत्रों से, विभिन्न राज्यों से विशेषज्ञ आए हैं, हमारे डायस पे इतना इमिनेंट पैनल बैठा और सभागार में भी काफी इमिनेंट लोग हैं, इन सब के सहयोग से जो चर्चा होगी, जो विचार विमर्श होगा, वो निश्चित रूप से झारखंड में ई गवर्नेंस को आगे ले जाने वाला होगा। मैं आपको इस अवसर पर बस 2 मिनट और लेते हुए कहना चाहूंगा कि IT के क्षेत्र में झारखंड काफी पहले से अग्रणी भूमिका निभाता रहा है। 2004 में इसने IT पॉलिसी लाई, CSC और स्वयं को लागू करने वाला पहला राज्य था। इसने इलेक्ट्रॉनिक डिलीवरी ऑफ सर्विसेज एक्ट को 2011 में लागू किया और उसके रूल्स फॉर्मुलेट किए। ऐसे कई क्षेत्र हैं जिसमें हम लोगों ने अग्रणी भूमिका निभाई है और सबसे जो आज का लेटेस्ट है और रिसेंट है वो आधार का इन्वॉल्वमेंट काफी ज्यादा है और उसके बेसिस पे हम बहुत सारी सर्विसेज लॉन्च कर रहे हैं। ये हमारे लिए बहुत ही बड़ी उपलब्धि की बात है। लेकिन हम इन लॉरेंस पे जो हमारी उपलब्धियां उन पे बैठना नहीं चाहते, बल्कि उनको लेके ई गवर्नेंस के क्षेत्र में कैसे तेजी से आगे बढ़े, ये हमारा उद्देश्य है। और आज की चर्चा, आज का विचार विमर्श, आज की गोष्ठी इसी दिशा की ओर कदम है। मुझे लगता है कि आज का विचार विमर्श निश्चित तौर पर बहुत लाभकारी होगा। माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी का समय काफी सीमित है और उनके काफी व्यस्त कार्यक्रम है। मैं माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वे अपने आशीर्वचन हमें लें और हमें मार्गदर्शन प्रदान करें कि हम कैसे इस दिशा में और आगे बढ़े और राज्य में IT के प्रयोग में उनकी क्या सोच है, उनकी क्या धारणा है। माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी।
आज यहाँ e-गवर्नेंस के कार्यक्रम में उपस्थित सभी सम्मानित मंच पर उपस्थित सदस्य, सभी लोगों की परिचय लगभग सबको मालूम ही है। काफी लोगों ने अपने क्षेत्र में अपना नाम कमाया हुआ है। मैं बहुत संक्षिप्त में अपनी बातों को रखना चाहूंगा क्योंकि आज हम लोगों का बजट सत्र चल रहा है। फिर भी कोई काम रुके नहीं, वो भी होना चाहिए, ये भी चलता रहना चाहिए। और झारखंड में ई-गवर्नेंस को लेकर लगभग हम लोग बिल्कुल ही मजबूती के साथ आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। और इसमें विशेषकर शर्मा साहब हमारे चीफ सेक्रेटरी इस राज्य के, IT के क्षेत्र में ऐसे ही इनका पहले से ही बहुत बड़ा योगदान रहा है। सिर्फ झारखंड ही नहीं बल्कि पूरे देश के पैमाने पर। ये हम लोगों की सौभाग्य की बात है कि आज राज्य भी मुख्य सचिव के रूप में कार्यरत है और IT के क्षेत्र में हम कितना बेहतर कर सकते हैं इस पर लगातार प्रयास जारी है। और हमने इनको भी स्पष्ट रूप में पहले भी कहा हुआ है, आप इस क्षेत्र में बिल्कुल स्वतंत्र रूप से आप काम करें। और जो आज की समय है, निश्चित रूप से ये IT सेक्टर हमारे हर दिनचर्या कार्य में इन्वॉल्व हो चुका है। लगभग मोटा मोटी आप कह सकते हैं कि चाहे आप पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं, चाहे किसी भी ऑफिस में कार्यरत हैं, सरकारी हो या प्राइवेट हो, सभी को इससे जुड़ा रहना पड़ रहा है। और यहाँ तक एक आम नागरिक भी जो अपने व्यक्तिगत जीवन में भी जी रहा हो, उसको भी इससे जुड़े हुए रहते हैं। तो आज इस क्षेत्र में हम लोगों ने बहुत महत्वपूर्ण कदमें भी उठाई हैं, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण उपलब्धियां भी हासिल की हैं। और क्योंकि जो रफ्तार है आज के दिन समय का, इसमें मैं समझता हूं कि IT का सहयोग हमारे विकास के लिए नितांत आवश्यक हो चुका है। आज चाहे स्वास्थ्य सेवा को लेकर कहें, चाहे आप फूड सप्लाई को कहें, चाहे पेंशन डिलीवरी कहें, चाहे टैक्स कलेक्शन की बात कहें, चाहे किसी भी क्षेत्र में आप कहें, तो हमको लगता है कि इस तकनीक का उपयोग कर हम बेहतर परिणाम ले सकते हैं और जल्द से जल्द ले सकते हैं और समय की बचत के साथ हम और अधिक से अधिक काम कर सकते हैं। आज पूरे विस्तृत रूप में सभी लोग बताएंगे आपको कि झारखंड ने कितनी महत्वपूर्ण कदमें उठाई हैं आज हम लोग ग्रामीण स्तर से लेकर शहर तक इस नेटवर्क को जोड़ने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं ताकि एक ट्रांसपेरेंट सिस्टम डेवलप हो सके और बेहतर व्यवस्था स्थापित हो सके। आज हम लोग हर राज्य का हर व्यक्ति कहीं ना कहीं इस तकनीक से जुड़ तो चुका ही है। उस तकनीक का क्या बेहतर उपयोग हो सके, लाभ हो सके, इसको और कितना सिंप्लीफाई कर सके, एक अनपढ़ व्यक्ति भी इसका कैसे लाभ उठा सके, इस पर भी हम लोग आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। आज निश्चित रूप से नारायण साहब यहाँ मैं लगातार 2-3 दिन से इनसे मुलाकात कर रहा हूँ। कोल इंडिया के एक महत्वपूर्ण पद से रिटायर हुए हैं और अभी भी जिस उम्र में जितनी एनालिटिक वे में ये अपना कार्य कर रहे हैं, मुझे खुद में भी कभी कभी लगता है कि हम भी शायद उनसे कम काम कर पा रहे हैं। और झारखंड के हर भौगोलिक हर क्षेत्र से ये वाकिफ भी है। यहाँ कोल इंडिया के लोग भी उपस्थित हैं और मैं एक विशेष बात थोड़ी सी रखना चाहूंगा कि कोल इंडिया के वरिष्ठ पदाधिकारी भी यहाँ उपस्थित हैं कि ये माइनिंग क्षेत्र पूरे राज्य में तो विभिन्न चीजों में खनन होती ही जा रही है, हो भी रही है, आगे भी होंगी। इसमें जमीन को लेकर जिस तरीके से विवाद होते हैं, जमीन को लेकर जिस तरीके से बातें कभी कभी आती हैं, समस्याएं उलझती हैं, हम एक लैंड रिकॉर्ड सरकार तो बना ही रही है। हम कोल इंडिया को भी कहेंगे कि ये भी अपना एक सिस्टम स्टैब्लिश करे ताकि सरकार और संस्था की एक कोऑर्डिनेशन बेहतर हो सके। बहुत सारी समस्याएं हम लोगों के समझ आती है जिस आज के दिन में कागजों को जिस तरीके से हम उलटते हैं उससे बहुत चीजें स्पष्ट नहीं हो पाती हैं। आप लोग भी सरकार के इस व्यवस्था के साथ अगर आप जुड़ जाते हैं तो मुझे लगता है कि ये एक हम लोगों का कोऑर्डिनेशन का काम कर सकता है, बेहतर व्यवस्था हम लोगों को दे सकता है। बातें बहुत सारी हैं, समय का अभाव है। मैं समझता हूँ कि आप जितने लोग यहाँ उपस्थित प्रबुद्ध नागरिकजन हैं, आप इन सब चीज को देख भी रहे हैं, समझ भी रहे हैं। आप लोगों के सुझाव भी निश्चित रूप से काफी महत्वपूर्ण होंगे। आप लोग इस कार्यक्रम को यहाँ पूर्ण रूप से इस कार्यक्रम का लाभ उठाएं। मैं इन बातों के साथ अपनी बातों को समाप्त करता हूँ। सबको धन्यवाद।
Thank you very much, Honorable Chief Minister of Jharkhand. To continue with the inaugural session, I would now invite the Chief Secretary, Shri R.S. Sharma. Please come and sir, please grace us with a few words.
Good morning, friends, and I'm sorry that we are all having wrong orders in the, normally there's a process and who speaks first and thereafter there's a sort of queue. We are all violating the queue in some sense. The Chief Minister asked that I should also immediately come over, so that's why I took this advantage of speaking prior to where my turn was. One is that it's really a great opportunity for all of us to be here and deliberate and discuss as to how technology can be leveraged to deliver better governance. So I think this is a great opportunity, and I would like to thank Mr. Dr. M.P. Narayanan and his colleagues, especially Ravi and other people who have made this happen. So that's one. Secondly, I feel that we have been, as Anil Sinha said, we have been quite ahead in terms of leveraging technology for governance. And my own view is that now you see we should drop this E before the governance, because I think now you can't have any governance reform without technology. So e-governance looks like a very, sort of some esoteric form of governance or some subsector of governance, which is not really true, because think of any governance reforms and you just can't do it without utilizing technology. So I think this is the mainstream. So mainstreaming of e-governance has got to be done today. And from now onwards, we must think of e and governance as a composite whole, so that we don't differentiate between the non-e-governance and the e-governance part. Secondly, I also think that technology is developing at such a pace, and today where we stand, there is a huge scope of leveraging mobile technology, for example. Now, smart mobile phones can do almost everything what the computers could do earlier. In fact, they can do much more. They are very handy devices, don't require connected power, they just operate on normal GPRS connectivity, and hence all those e-governance platforms which we have developed thus far have to factor in and have to sort of build for the mobile technology. Thirdly, I think in today's world where there is so much of emphasis on corruption removal, prevention of corruption, and you have all kinds of laws, there is so much of emphasis on welfare, where not being satisfied merely by projects, one has started having laws. So for example, for employment you have the MNREG Act. For food safety now you have the Food Security Act. So there are legislations which actually are aimed at ensuring that the welfare or the benefits are not really some kind of gratis or some kind of grace which the government is providing. It is an entitlement and it's a right. So now this form of benefit is being converted into an entitlement, whether it's an entitlement for getting a job or whether it's an entitlement for getting, let's say, food at subsidized prices and things like that. Now, making law is one thing, but ensuring that the laws are followed or there is a compliance of the law is quite another. And I think without technology, you cannot ensure that the laws are enforced properly. And therefore, technology is a great enabler even from the perspective of enforcement of these laws. So whether it is a Food Security Act, now how do you ensure that a person gets the ration he has been entitled for? And there should be some method, some transparent and non-repudiable method which actually proves that the person got the ration which he was entitled for. So if otherwise it becomes the PDS shop dealer says everybody who has a ration card holder has got the ration. The person who is actually a beneficiary or the person who is entitled for says no, I didn't get it, because this guy, when I went to his shop, he told me that the ration has not come, the grains has not come from the government, allotment has not come, and therefore his shop was closed or whatever. So there is always this constant tussle, and you keep on inquiring, and there are vigilance committees and all kinds of committees. If there could be a way in which both these things are proved, whether who is telling a lie, whether this person who is the ration holder or whether the person who is entitled for ration, whether the shopkeeper or the ration card holder, who is telling the lie. So if you have a way in which you can prove beyond any doubt, technologically, that this person indeed picked up the ration, even if you can't say that he picked up 25 kilograms or 20 kilograms, you can certainly tell that he did indeed come to the shop, put his signature or come in person and got the ration. Then you see it solved a whole lot of problems of accountability, transparency, cost effectiveness, all those issues which are today so very important. And therefore, even from the perspective of ensuring transparency, technology is the way to do it. Because one way is that you can have these papers available everywhere, and every panchayat you can have on the notice board list of beneficiaries who are getting pension, for example, old age pension. But that's not really the way to do things, because you should have access to information as and when you need it, 24/7. And the internet or the list of beneficiaries being published on the website is the best way to ensure that anybody who can sort of see the list. Suppose I want to see the list of beneficiaries in that panchayat, I can just sort of log on to the site and see it. Similarly, so what I'm saying is that accessibility of the information as you need it, when you need it, really is an extremely powerful tool to enable people to do things. Lastly, portability. Now you see initial phases of the entitlement kind of things. A person was bound to a ration shop. I can only go to this ration shop and this guy doesn't behave properly and it is his versus me. Now this kind of technology which where the entitlement is on the cloud and now the identity is on the cloud, the authentication of that identity is on the cloud, and because cloud is accessible from anywhere, anytime, and therefore it makes it possible that whenever you move, your entitlement moves with you, your identity moves with you, and you can authenticate that. So this portability, which is a concept which was not possible without technology, is now possible. So technology enables us to do things the way, for example, interoperability is another issue. If I have my account in the state of India today, I can go to any ATM of any bank with my debit card and draw the money. Now this kind of interoperable architecture was not available earlier. Now these tools are now available. You can go to any shop or you can actually access any micro ATM from any place and draw and operate your account anywhere. So those things are now available because of technology in a very cost-effective manner, in a very transparent manner. So I think all of us will have to think in our respective areas because many of us are administrators and many of us have been doing things the old way and many of us have a lot of experience. Experience is a great thing, but experience also becomes quite limiting because then you are typified into that particular area. You're not able to think beyond. In a way, you're not able to think out of the box. So therefore, this experience should not become a limiting factor. Experience should become an enabler and innovative thinking, catalyst for innovative thinking. So this, all of us will have to think as to how we can use, what are the processes in our systems, what are the things which we can do to improve the productivity, to improve the transparency, to reduce the cost, to reduce the manpower burden and all the quality improvement. All these things have to be thought. And it is not the domain of the IT department per se to introduce e-governance or the governance in various sectors. All of us are responsible because ultimately this IT department is only thought provider in some sense, maybe a service provider in some sense, maybe somebody who knows a little bit better technology than all of you. But ultimately, how that technology is agnostic to its use. Technology has no sort of religion in that sense of the term. It's a very secular kind of thing. But you have to figure out as to how technology can be leveraged better. So all of us here today should think as to what my processes are. I have been doing these processes in a certain way. Do I need to continue to do the processes the same way or there is a better way? Because unfortunately our whole processes are built on suspicion. Our processes are built on certain rigorous processes, rigorous methods of doing things, and those have become hard-coded in our thinking. With the result that we always we can't think beyond these things. You should always challenge each and every process of yours. What is the value add of that process? What is the value I am adding? If I am adding, everybody's leave is coming to me and I am just signing on it, am I really contributing anything? Or some file is just coming for my signature, am I doing anything worthwhile? So I think you should always think why a process is needed today. Can that thing not be done in something very different, very way? For example, just a recent example, we have introduced the biometric attendance system. Now the biometric attendance system actually makes the entire attendant register useless. There is no need for it. You have an attendant register on the cloud. And it's an attendance register where you can see for eternity, maybe 20 years hence you can see whether Mr. Sharma had attended the office on this particular day or not. This is the power, so the data is being captured, it is being generated, and it generates all kinds of reports. So therefore, there is no need for an attendance register today. So these things have to be thought whether certain things are needed in today's environment, why were they being done earlier, why can't they be dispensed with. Every process has to be justified, on the basis of its value addition, on the basis of its utility. Unfortunately, we keep on accepting these things as given. This is the way we are doing things, this is the way they have been being done in the past, and therefore this is the right way. That is not really the approach. So all of us will have to, sort of think through these things, and we should proceed with that. And I am sure all of us can contribute. But ultimately, what is the whole purpose of this government? The whole purpose of governance is they are twofold. One is to a regulatory form of government, driving licenses, this, that, those regulatory issues. Another is the developmental issues, delivery, system deliveries. Now, delivery, unless all of us. For example, we announced, this government has also announced a lot of measures. So, for example, we have relaxed the conditions of the old age pension. Suddenly from 8,000, 5,500, you said 10,000 for 10,500 for a rural area. A rural area person who has got 10,500 income up to, he will be given a pension, old age pension, or he's 60 years and etc. Similarly, in urban area, 12,500. Now, after the relaxation of the condition, what has happened? There is a huge queue before the circle officer to get the income certificates. Because now I become eligible. I was not eligible earlier, now I am eligible. So they want to have an income certificate. Now, income certificate, the CEO office is designed to give income certificate, let's say 10 people. Now, there are 1,000 guys sitting in front of CEO's office, he can't give the income certificates. So, are there better ways to do this thing? And now, this time, the Chief Minister was saying 2-3 days before, he called me and he said, Sharma, this is a very funny problem because we did this thing to benefit people. Now people are being harassed by our machinery. Can we come up with a better method? So then we have to think as to what is the better method we can come up with, rather than everybody lining up for income certificates. Can we think of, okay, what is the population of, let's say, people beyond 60 years in my state? Suppose the population is 20 lakhs. I am going to give, let's say, the pension to 60 lakh people. Now there are only 4 lakh guys who have to be eliminated. So rather than having an inclusive criteria for income certificates, why can't I devise a method where I want only to exclude these 4 lakh people? Because 80% are candidates going to be included, only 20% are going to be excluded. Let me have an exclusion criteria. And can I have an exclusion criteria which is not based on somebody's recommendation or somebody's subjective kind of decision? Can I have an exclusion criteria which is based on again IT? For example, Aadhaar enrollment is 92%. Nice. Now 92% fellows, I know their age. If I ask them, you will get old age pension, how old are you? Even a 40-year guy will say, I am 65. This is the way things are. And if I say I want to have an insurance done, if 65 years I will say I am 40 years. Now you have a basic objective determinant, that is Aadhaar, which gives you age. So you say, alright, anybody who has got Aadhaar 65 plus is good enough. Secondly, you have done a socio-economic caste census. Now, socio-economic caste census gives you a digitized data of income levels of each family. Now, you can say anybody who's got more than 10,500 will be excluded. Period. So he gives an application, you check both these things, what is his age, what is his income, and you are good to go. So that should be the way in which we should devise our processes to deliver these benefits. Because unless you strengthen this delivery system, the pipeline, howsoever water you flow through this pipeline will all leak out. So therefore, the major task for us for welfare service delivery is to strengthen these delivery systems. And I am sure today's deliberations will take care of all these issues. And the basic objective of our being here is essentially to deliver better services to our people, to govern better, and to provide better governance. Thank you very much.
I take a leave, friends, 2 minutes. I can't ignore a formality. I have to thank you. And it is not a formal thanksgiving to Mr. Sharma. Apart from the fact I know him for such a long time, I know what he has achieved, not in his present capacity, but even in his past capacity as Secretary IT here, and GIS and GPS, we have done a lot of work. And then Aadhaar, last but not least, whenever I see my Aadhaar card, I see his image behind it, not anybody else. So today, notwithstanding his busy schedule that he has with us, and that shows his commitment to IIT and also somewhat commitment to me at a personal level. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. To continue the inaugural session, now I would like to invite Shri Gopal Singh, Chairman cum Managing Director, Central Coalfields Limited, to please address the audience.
Soren of the mining industry, Narayanan sir, Principal Secretary IT, respected Sinha sir, distinguished dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, my friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed pleasure and privilege for me that I am here to take part in this mega event. We have heard our Chief Minister, who did make a mention of the mining industry. We heard our Chief Secretary, who in true sense deliberated at length about the use of IT, technology, in ensuring transparency, portability, and you might have noticed, he mentioned about secularism also. So I would like to orient my speech in that order only. I would like to cover the mining industry in brief, and then I would like to deliberate about the use of IT. Ladies and gentlemen, we are sitting in a state which is so rich in diversity. 30% of our area is covered with forest. We are so rich in flora and fauna. We have so many pioneer institutes of the country like Indian School of Mines, Dhanbad, established in 1926. We have XLRI in Jamshedpur. We have IIM in Ranchi, DIT Mesra, and so many institutions. We have the Central Mining Research Institute in Dhanbad. We have CMPDI. We have such a good climate. Average rainfall we get about 1300 mm. This state can be a hub of the IT industry because of its climate and the talent that we have. We have a good pool of human resource. This state, by nature, whatever manpower we have, Jharkhand, let me tell you, particularly tribals, they are very hard-working people. And given the proper training and development, they can prove to be an asset for the nation. There are so many examples like Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Deepika from Jamshedpur, and so many. And above all, this state is so rich in minerals. We have 21 varieties of minerals found in this state. This state happens to be the richest state in terms of reserve of minerals like coal, iron ore, and minerals, my friends, let me tell you, though directly they contribute about mineral sector as such, it contributes about 2.8% to the GDP of the country. But if you look at the 28% contribution of the industrial sector towards the GDP, none of these sectors can work without the contribution from the minerals. You require minerals in every form. Every sector requires somehow the presence of minerals. For example, if you look at the electricity sector, electricity is the basic requirement for any industry, for any sector. Even for agricultural sector, you require sufficient amount of electricity at cheaper, at affordable cost. And in our country, still 54% of the electricity generation is based on coal. And this trend is likely to continue in future because other resources which are used for electricity generation, for example, gas, oil, we have limited reserve. The reserve what we have of the gases and of the oil, that is going to last hardly for 25-30 years. Hydel, you know the limitations. Renewable sources for electricity, you know the limitations. These are so costly. Coal-based electricity, it costs here around 2 to 3 rupees an unit. Whereas solar electricity, it costs something around 10 rupees, 12 rupees per unit, which a country like ours cannot afford simply. So in essence, this mineral sector has to continue if the country is required to grow at the desired pace. If the state is dreaming of becoming a leading state of the country, it has to rely on the mineral sector, it has to explore the mineral potential that the state has. But again, it's a fact that mineral sector, it has so many demerits as well. And I think Chief Minister was hinting towards that only. This is the fact that the mineral sector scars the face of the earth. We damage the environment, we disturb the ecology, we cause displacement, rehabilitation of the persons. So it is at this juncture, we require essentially the mineral sector, but at the same time, the society, the nation, the state cannot afford to have these ill effects of the mining sector. So it is at this point that coordination, cooperation is required. There is a need for coexistence. And this is very much possible. The only thing required is, in my view, our approach has to be philanthropic, our approach has to be ethical, and our method of working, our working style has to be transparent. Exactly with this, look, something is wrong. Yeah. Exactly with this in view, in CCL, we have evolved and adopted a model that we call Kayakalp model. This model is nothing but essentially based on the three values, that is philanthropy, ethics and transparency. It relies essentially heavily on the IT for ensuring transparency, with the ultimate objective to ensure inclusive growth. Because as I told you, this mineral industry, it causes displacement, it causes rehabilitation. So unless you take care of those villagers, those project affected persons, no industry, no sector can survive. So this model concentrates on finally to ensure inclusive growth for the society, for the state, for the stakeholders. This model has about 35 schemes to promote transparency, to develop the services in the field of innovation, health, education, drinking water, discipline enforcement, safety environment, infrastructure development, mechanization, automation, and most importantly, self-reliance of the project affected persons. When we talk about ensuring transparency, it is only the IT, it is only the use of technology which can ensure transparency. We heard our Chief Secretary, he deliberated at length, and that is the fact, that unless you deploy IT on a larger scale, transparency cannot be ensured. And with this in view, we have taken so many initiatives in the field of IT. Already we have introduced operator independent truck dispatch system in one of our biggest projects, that is People Power project. We are going for RFID CCTV based vehicle monitoring system on a large scale in all of our mines. We are going to have GPS RFID CCTV and automatic weighment and boom barrier based monitoring system for all the coal carrying trucks plying in our command zone. There are about more than 2,000 trucks plying in our zone. So each truck will be monitored based on this GPS technology. Let me tell you, we are going to have WAN installation. It is all in the process. We are going to connect all our establishments to WAN, and once we have the highway, we will have our ERP system in place. Already we have gone for 100% e-tendering. We have gone for reverse e-auction, and that has resulted in huge saving of 539 crores. And it is because of e-tendering and reverse auction, my friends, let me tell you, that anybody sitting in even New York, he can quote for our tenders, he can become L1, he can get the work order while sitting in New York. He is not required to come to Ranchi. So that is the scope of the IT technology. We have gone for 100% e-payment, e-procurement. Already we have started uploading the information related to bill payment status, EMD, SD, etc. on website for greater transparency. We have gone for on-filing of property return, online recruitment of non-executives. We are going to have executive information system and online filing of complaints. Regarding the complaints, let me tell you, because one of the basic essence of transparency, I feel that you must give your stakeholders the opportunity to lodge any complaint if they have about the company. And with this in view, we have established one Samadhan Kendra. When you enter our headquarters, the Ranga House, you will find one center that is Samadhan Kendra. Any stakeholder, anybody from Jharkhand or from the country, he can lodge his complaint against any of the CCL stakeholders, any of the CCL working procedure through toll-free number, that is 1-800-345-6501. And the beauty about this Samadhan Kendra, that is single window grievance redressal cell, is that if you lodge your complaint, within 30 days, you are bound to get the reply. The reply could be positive, the reply could be negative. But in case it's negative, the reason is given in writing, duly signed by the concerned head of department. So you have the freedom to go to the court or to any other institution. And that's the beauty. And now very soon we are going to have online system for lodging the complaints also. So the essence is that it is only information technology, it's only the technology automation that can help us achieving our dream. This state has huge potential, but it's again a fact that we are almost, I think, about 15th in GDP, in terms of GDP, if you compare other states of the country. We are 25th, we rank 25th in terms of literacy. So there is a huge scope for technology, there is a huge scope for various facets of the development of this country, in this state, and I see no reason why this state should not occupy the topmost slot in the country compared to other states. There is huge scope for tourism, there is huge scope for industrial development, and if our approach is philanthropic, ethical, I don't see any reason why mining sector should be disastrous for the state. Recently I was talking to one very veteran leader of this state. He was telling that he is going to write a letter, minerals a curse for the state. This is the feeling of the general people about the mining industry. But is it really so? Is it really so? It's only because of the mindset, because we have sufficient money, we have the willpower, we have the technology. Fortunately, let me tell you, this country has the largest coal producing company of the world. Coal India is the largest coal miner of the world. We have the technology, we have the willpower. And let me also tell you that whatever bad impression about mining industry you have been carrying over the decades, it's not because of the present generation of the mining industry. The mines were nationalized only in the year 1975. So it's because of the legacy we have been carrying over. It is because of the mines, those were mined by private owners in very scientific, unscientific manner, that this impression is being carried by the people of the Jharkhand. Otherwise, it's very much possible that we can carry our mining operations in a sustainable manner. We can take care of the environment, we can take care of the ecology, we can take care of the project affected persons in such a way that development can continue on sustainable basis and we can ensure inclusive growth. Lastly, I would like to conclude my speech with two quotes. Think not what technology can do for you. Think not what technology can do for you, think what you can do with the technology for the people, for the society, for the state, for the country as a whole. And gentlemen, as I was mentioning about the mining industry, we must also remember the famous statement of Chief Seattle, an American tribal chief. Just imagine his vision. In 1854, he made a statement that we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. I repeat, we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
That's very nice. Say a few words about you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Gopal Singh. And this is the third time I am seeing a presentation on the Samadhan and the Kaya Cup. And I would rather recommend not only to the other companies of Coal India, but also to the other industries, public and private sector, to go through it and implement this type of thing, so that the grievance element is reduced and his statement, whatever it is, not what the technology can do for you, but what you can do with technology. That is something very relevant for all of us to remember. And thank you very much, Gopal Singh. I know that I saw a long SMS message, how much of work you have to do. The ministry has asked you to do something by noon today, to send the papers. I said that notwithstanding all those things, you have to be here to tell us something about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Shri Omkar, Director General, Software Technology Parks of India. Sir, please, on the dais and place us with a few words.
Principal Secretary, Government of Jharkhand, Sri Sinha ji, Chairman Elets, MP Narayanan ji, CMD, RailTel Corporation Limited, Sri Bahuguna ji, distinguished participants, representatives from IT industry and the government of Jharkhand, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to be part of this event, and I am thankful to Principal Secretary Sinha ji, Government of Jharkhand and the organizers for giving me an opportunity to be part of this event. STPI is present in Jharkhand, and we had a center in Ranchi at that time, and thereafter another center was opened in Jamshedpur. Thereafter, in recent years, we have decided to open two new centers, one in Hon'ble and one in Deoghar. And today we are going to sign an MOU with the government of Jharkhand for opening of a center in Deoghar. In Jharkhand, there are 21 IT units operating across the state, and the exports from the Jharkhand is nearly 6 crore rupees as of now. If you look at the total number of units that operate under the STPI scheme, about 4,000 exporting units are operating under STPI, and so far there are 10,000 registered units. In fiscal year 2012 and 13, the exports from STPI registered units have been in the tune of 2,51,000 crore, with the annual growth of 10% If you look at the overall figures of the export from the country, in the last fiscal year it was $76 billion, and the overall revenue of the IT sector has been $108 billion. So these figures are very enormous and they speak for itself. This sector has employed about 3 million graduates across the country, and every year about 2 lakh graduates are getting inducted in this sector. So it's the largest urban job creator. The leading states, as we know, that Karnataka, Maharashtra, Andhra, Chennai, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, followed by NCR. These are the leading locations from where the most of the exports are happening, most of the jobs are being created. But of late the things are changing because of the cost arbitrage, because doing business in these metros and tier 1 cities have become very difficult and it has become costly, and therefore the tier 2 locations and tier 2 states are now in focus, and we are at a juncture where the state of Jharkhand kind of places where there is an ecosystem in place, there is a conducive policy in place. They can now reap the benefits by repositioning the state as an attractive destination for IT industry. Gopal Singh, a very esteemed speaker, just had left the dais and the hall. But I would definitely mention about this speech. He has greatly enumerated the kind of industry this state of Jharkhand has. Most of the centers of excellence and heavy industry in the field of mines and metals are available in the state of Odisha. And as we know, these sectors are the largest consumer of the state-of-the-art ESDM technology. We know that it's automation, the security, everywhere the IT and electronics are used. And in case it's a food for thought that on one hand we go linearly and we attract the investment, we attract the IT industry, create the job within the state. Other hand, we can explore the possibility of a very, very revolutionary collaboration between this heavy industry like mining and metal industry and the researchers and centers of excellence, the educational institution at one hand, and create those products which can be consumed by the industry itself. So far in India, a meaningful collaboration between the academia, between the centers of excellence and between the users and the industry has not been up to the mark. And therefore, we can perhaps explore this possibility in the state of Jharkhand with the support of like Coking Coal Limited, Central Coalfields Limited, SAIL, All Steel Corporation, Tata, etc. And the government of Jharkhand can play a vital role and play a role of catalyzer, play a role of incentivizer to see that these agencies, these stakeholders collaborate for meaningful cooperation among them to create product and to use those products within this. The centers of excellence in this state, like Indian School of Mines, IIT Mestra, IIM, IITs, all these things are already there. I have read the policy of this state government. It's a very outstanding policy. It is incentivizing the industrial activity, and I am sure with these incentives in place and the conducive environment that the government of Jharkhand has put in place for the IT industry, I am sure that even if we see at the state of IT industry across the country with the help of the state government and the national policies that have been created by the government of India, the incentives that are being given for the ESG industry across the country. I am sure that the Jharkhand, the government of Jharkhand and the state of Jharkhand will definitely transform itself in a very attractive IT destination, a very attractive R&D destination where the innovation could take place, and I am sure that this state will flourish in coming years. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I again invite Shri R.K. Bahuguna, CMD Railtel Corporation of India Limited, to complete his address and keep it little short.
So, again, now good afternoon. I started in the morning, so because of some timing issues. So, and probably we are already late in the session. I try to close as early as possible. Just wanted to highlight certain points because some great speakers have spoken before now, so I wanted to bring insight on what exactly is happening. That government has a big dream of putting everything on cloud computer network so that everything is accessible from anywhere to anywhere, like to check your mails. And that requires a big infrastructure, big ecosystem where everywhere is going on. Only to restart from the point where I said that the telecom growth has become much faster. The world has become totally connected because of the internet and broadband. You could access any information anywhere to anywhere. Social media has been the big example that you have Facebook, you have Twitter, and if yesterday you hear the WhatsApp have been purchased for a huge sum by Facebook. Now that's the power. The 5-year-old company has been purchased for $1 billion plus. So, only thing we need to note here is, like, we had a mobile growth. We claim that we have a very huge mobile numbers per 100. Then it has not gone to rural areas. Somewhere growth stopped. Growth happened where there were people, there were opportunities, there were money, but the growth somewhere stopped. So the urban population may be 150%, the telecom density, rural it is still around 40%, and out of that still around 30% to 35% villages remain uncovered. So that's the area which calls for, because that is creating a problem. So what it does, the growth of technology created a digital divide. Like we had the divide between rich and poor, because the rich kept becoming richer, the poor did not get opportunity. Same thing happened with the IT and telecom. So wherever those people who had access, they have access to overcapacity. Other places people do not have. Government duty is to be the good governance model. They have to take care of people who cannot meet and themselves. So from the various schemes, government decided that if you create a national optical fiber network and cover the areas which are uncovered. Because where the growth stopped, all the telecom operators, all the private people, barring the incumbent BSNL, have not reached beyond district, except the blocks which come on the way. So areas remain disconnected. So this Noman project, most of you must be knowing, had around 5 lakh kilometers of OFC planned out to cover 2,50,000 panchayats, and this is already in progress and tenders are awarded and this work is going on. There may be other customers, because up to district there are many operators who can give you facility. Within district, many operators can give you facility, whatever the government requirement or even common public requirement. Industry will grow only with this. But challenges remain between how to create an access network in villages and households. It still is unviable. You go to Panchayat, Now the student is staying in a village nearby. Who all needs this connectivity? Maybe farmers together should well. The most required by the student who is going to the school and who is not having access to quality education today. At least he can get the country. So these challenges remain. Then the next largest challenge is the devices and handsets. Because of the constraints of power supply and other issues, unless we have the mobile handsets, tablets, computers, which are affordable by the people, this is not going to grow. 2 days back, I was in a seminar where one of the CMDs indicated that in this year, 1 year, their data traffic has grown 3 times. They are not done anything. Their network is 5 years old. They are the first to roll out this network for 3G. But it was not growing because there are no equipment which people could buy. Now with the cheaper equipment available and everybody has a GPRS on the phone, it is becoming affordable. So that's the challenge. Other area where these technologies are to be exploited is the education. What do I do in the network? Then, as you may be knowing, the government has set up a National Innovation Council also. So there is a need for innovation in all these areas like education. Vocational education is one which can get you straight employment. The regular classrooms, if they could be covered by better quality education. Then the content is required to be developed. A structured content has to come up. And then it should be through the reform process of involvement. People should get involved what they want to learn. I'll give you a small example in this. Rajasthan, the state government has put in computers in the classes so that teachers, the students would be taught. We came to know about it because we were told to give connectivity over there. There were certain issues which were project in the railway station. When we went after 1 week, we connectivity, connecting everything, we found the computers locked up in the showroom. I said, why? 2 reasons. The teachers themselves were not trained, not comfortable with computers. Second reason was security of the computer. They were on the TNP of teachers. And third issue with the computers was, like the children themselves, if they touch the computer, they will break, they will damage. So that's what happens. It's an ecosystem. It's not that technology itself can do something. Technology can only facilitate, it can take you there. And when we discussed further at district level, we found that the content was the biggest challenge. What is taught in the school is as per syllabus, as per certain thing. It is not something like you just can teach anything to anybody. So these are the challenges in education. Similar challenges are on the health. We talk of telemedicine, we talk of health management system. Now, once we have a health management system or a telemedicine, how it is going to be implemented? So these are the challenges. Similar challenges of the governance we have discussed in the morning, and we really, like the Chief Secretary has spoken and the Minister has also spoken, and the governance can get a great assistance once I have an infrastructure available. Otherwise, what do? I am providing some infrastructure, some network. Somebody is not here to govern total, whatever the portals, blogs, anything you say. So that's a major issue with the governance, and now at least some states are proactively doing it. So that has been a great enabler. The biggest boost to this will come from the entertainment sector, because we know that the best will happen when there is a, you can see movies on that, you can see some other entertainment things on television, then it will have an advantage, and then automatically others will come in the circuit. Doing all this requires a lot of improvement on technology innovations, lot of bandwidth capacity. I am from telecom background, many of you may not be doing telecom, but most of you know IT. Whatever we talk of, it requires a high capacity on backhaul. Whatever your mobile connection, mobile service comes, whatever you want to do, it's a very small capacity, but when it gets connected, with millions of people using, the backhaul requirement is very high. Then another requirement is the device, what we provide in the villages, has to be video enabled or at least photo enabled, and it should work with a low power, because lower in the education level, higher the bandwidth requirement. And instead of text, I have to teach people by videos and clips and photographs. So, similarly, data center also a lot of development is required, because if India whole data is required to be kept on data center, somebody was telling me your requirement is so huge that I think number of Googles will be required. If every government puts their data, whatever data in Google, everybody talks of whatever you type anything into the Google database, and the amount of infrastructure required is huge. So, similarly the content management, and then it should be whatever we do has to be ultimately affordable. I can spend billions of dollars to create the infrastructure. The cost will be so huge that it will become affordable. We need in India to cities, we assume that most of things are in place, although not in a perfect manner, but something is available. For growing to the, taking for inclusive growth, covering to the people who are working in the rural areas and we want to give them facility, we need to create a complete telecom infrastructure around it, so that all villages, all panchayats can be covered. So there is a, in telecom jargon, there is called a core layer, which has high capacity equipment, it runs on fiber, it can take any capacity from anywhere to backhaul network and ultimately data center, where all state repository is kept. I am sure that like Jharkhand government will have a data center in Ranchi, if not it will be kept in LIC. So those data requirements are really used, so the backhaul network is required. Then from district level, I need a network which will go to panchayats, blocks, all other places, so that from district it can go further. People can be connected. From panchayat, again how do I go to village? Then I require an access network there, which can be either a radio or a fiber or some other arrangement. So that in this hierarchy is required. Generally we show it as a ring architecture, so that even if some damage somewhere in the network should not become down. These are all telecom jargons, I'm not getting into that. These are certain technologies required for backhaul, creating high capacity, some DWDM, etc., and PLS, forget about it. And similarly, some technologies on access. Some of them are like wired technology, as we are knowing today, ADSL, DSL, and mostly wireless technology and Wi-Fi. This is the most challenging part, which the content users have to deal with. Like structured content has to be developed by the user, like government is doing a lot of work on that, e-governance, NIC is doing great work on that, and other also many people developing these contents. But it has to be a structured content so that the data created can be used for everybody. Then similarly data center services are required. Then content delivery network is required, how to deliver these contents is created to the people. But most importantly, the content what is available today mostly is on English language. Unless the content is in local language, which the people can understand, the content becomes a challenge. So these are the challenges in front of the people who are dealing with the subject from the IT perspective. From government may say, okay, I should have a content. So these issues have to be taken care of by the IT department. Then affordable devices, I have already discussed, and then creating of access network. Now, these are certain initiatives of government. Like there is a National Innovation Council who are encouraging innovation in any area. It has nothing to do with IT per se. IT becomes one of the biggest innovators. You can innovate in any area, and they are supporting. Then National Broadband Plan. Then National E-Government Plan, National Knowledge Network, Telecom R&D and Manufacturing. So then common service centers which government has done, statewide banks have been created, CCTNS, which is the police network of crime control. So this is also, everything requires a network and a connectivity, as I already discussed. So this is what happened last time when Pani Sagar, the block, when the president could speak directly to the people, to the National Innovation Council, and they basically wanted to know that what all innovations have done. IT was a year per year. IT was not like what IT has done, but the solutions are like this. Something about RailTel. It is a Vivinatma category 1 company of Indian Railways, a central PSU, and working for last 10 years. And this company primarily have a total telecom optical fiber network around railway route, and like this. So almost all area is covered. Around 42,000 kilometer network has been laid. So with this, and then access network has been created around the city. We are complementing efforts of government, BSNL, MTNL, and power grid, etc., to facilitate so that wherever the requirements are more or reliability is required to get into it. So we have quite a reliable and quite a large network throughout the country. We are serving not only government, we are a partner in the NKM, we are also serving to some MNCs who have huge bandwidth requirement in the country. Then in the recognition that Economic Times also acknowledged, they awarded us with the Best Trusted Carrier and Best Social Initiative. So Trusted Carrier primarily, we are the only neutral player in the industry. All other people they compete on their space. In my space, everybody comes and works with me. In Jharkhand, we have a reasonably good network of railways, and along that we are present. Our major customers happens to be here, Jharkhand, number of all high-end institutes like IIM, NIT, RIMS, Central Institute of Psychiatry, NGM, college, all are our customers. Then BCCL, all these, Dept.of, we are connected well in Jharkhand. We are a partner in National Knowledge Network. We also opened an R&D center in IIT Roorkee. One thing, 2 minutes more I take. One is regarding this, how to deliver this. We have done an innovative model. This is the president inaugurating the NKN startup phase. See, the challenge is how to deliver it to the common people. There are only 2 ways it can be done. One is the incumbent who has laid copper cables. It has a limitation of the bandwidth. It can't be more than 500 km in real time. The distance is 3, 4, 5 kilometers. Other way is the cable operators who have reached most of the households in India, around large numbers, 12 crore households. So we are trying a model which we have successfully implemented also, that the cable operator can act as an access network provider from this place, our place. So from railway station, we are taking up the local cable operator, taking the assistance, creating an IP network and delivering to the people in the institutions or at their homes. Because he is the person most known in the society. All the data from inside, internet services, VoIP, video conferencing, e-governance, that comes from inside, that gets collected on the data center, data infrastructure, and then goes to the cable operator. It can be done using on wireless. And this is what we have done in Canada, where the government especially called us. They have a lot of problems. So today, 420 villages of Canada are connected on the data network, and they are very happy with it because they got a very high capacity bandwidth required, and they want more and more. And I think this is what one or two of these initiatives in telemedicine, whatever we have done, they are under validation. We have done around 36 panchayats, we have connected ourselves these locations, and we are seeing the reaction of people. Because unless the people start using it, these services would serve a purpose from e-agriculture, veterinary, all areas. So, thank you. I think time is running short, so yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bahuguna. It was an excellent presentation. We only wish we had some more time to listen to you, but time constraint has been there. Thank you very much. And we announced the
Lastly, I would invite Shri Hemant Sinha, Principal Secretary, Government, Department of IT, Government of Jharkhand, and Shri Omkar Rai, Director General STPI, to sign a memorandum of understanding for establishment of STPI Deoghar. After this, we will continue with the next session, Pillars of Success for E-Governance in Jharkhand, Success Story of Aadhaar in Jharkhand. As we are running short of time, we cannot take a tea break here. So I request audience to... Those who would like to take tea, you can, but we are short of time, so I request audience to stay. We will start with the news session in next 5 minutes. In next 5 minutes, sir.
Provided you serve tea,
We serve tea.
then you will find a huge crowd there and after they come in. Sorry, Charlie.